Okay, so we have 3 missions for today, 3 mission objectives. Hopefully we accomplish all of them. First one is to finish reading the facts. We did Teshuvah gemurah last time. Now we're going to do Teshuvah. Second mission objective is to well, maybe we only have 2 mission objectives. Oh yeah. The second one is to raise questions on those facts. Okay, with the goal of answering all of our questions over the next 2 days, if we can. And then the third mission objective is to look up all the pesukim that the Rambam quotes in these 2 halachos in their context to make sure that we're getting them the way that he intended them. Okay, so we're not even going to review what we did yesterday yet. We're just going to go straight to Teshuvah. So, the only part we will review is he had said Ezohi Teshuvah gemurah, which one is the complete Teshuvah? And the basic definition was Zeh sheba liyado davar she'avar bo ve'efshar biyado lasos upirish v'lo asa mipnei ha-teshuvah lo miyur v'lo miyakishlan koach. That the thing came to his hand that he sinned in. It's possible for him to act, and he separates and doesn't do it because of the tshuva, not because of fear and because of kishlon koach. And then he gives the example, but we didn't know what is mipnei ha-teshuvah. What is ha-teshuvah? So this is now the answer to that question. So halacha beis, umahi ha-teshuvah. What is the teshuvah? And this is what you guys were trying to reconstruct, in these steps. Okay, so let's see which ones we get. And you can count these up different ways. Okay, so we'll just, I'm going to count the way I usually count. Umahi ha-teshuvah. 1, hu sheyazav v'chotei chato. The sinner should abandon his sin. V'yasirenu mi-machshavto, and remove it from his plans. Okay, thoughts here, machshavah does not mean if it flits into your head, then somehow you can't do tshuva. It means that you're no longer machshavah is like an actionable plan. Okay, I think that's the best translation here. 3, v'yigmor b'libo shelo ya'asehu od. Resolve in your heart not to do it again. Okay, Shenemar, as it says, Yazov Rasha Darkov Ishav and Machshavah Lab. The Rasha should abandon his way, and the man of iniquity should abandon his thoughts. Now, the Yad Pshuta, who's that Rabinovich commentary, says that these 3 are really. I don't want to sound Trinitarian. He says that these 3 are really one. Okay, you walked in at the wrong time.
There's a point in this book that I'm reading that he kind of thinks like that as well.
Yeah. So he says that these 3 are really one. They're just 3 practical ways to break that down. The way and the proof he brings is the pasuk that he quotes only mentions 2 of them, right? Yazov Rasha Darko is azivas hachet, is abandoning the sin, and then ish avin Machshavah Lab is removing it from your thoughts. So he wants to say that the essence is resolving in your heart not to do it again, but in order to do that, you have to abandon it and then remove it from your thoughts.
That's that rabbi philosophy. The Abshuta?
Yeah, that's the Abshuta. That's what he says.
I'm saying that's the rabbi.
Nachum Rabinovich.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But if you were to understand this as 3 distinct steps, which just plain pshat of what's the difference between abandoning the sin, removing it from your thoughts, and then resolving not to do it again?
So abandoning the sin seems more physical, I guess.
Okay, yeah, what do you mean?
You seize the physical action of doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
But you haven't
cease.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not seize with an S.
Okay. Yeah. Right. You stop doing it. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say just use the example, not not poskening or whatever. Let's say smoking a cigarette. Right.
Sure.
So you extinguish it and stop the smoking. Okay. Right. Then yisarinu mi-machshavto, remove it from your plans.
That's you try to forget about it. I think I would say more.
That's what I was
okay.
Kind of just not have it in your mind.
So that's what I was trying to
not do it, but you're trying to say let's say you're probably a student.
Yeah.
And you go I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to think about.
Okay, you could definitely learn it that way because machshava does sometimes mean the contents of your head. I am still working with the premise that it means actionable thoughts, and as opposed to forgetting about it. And the reason why is, spoiler alert, later on he says that it's a good thing to do vidui on the same chataim every year, and he quotes David saying chatasi negdi sami, that you should always have your sin in front of your mind. So it doesn't sound like you're removing it from your mind, not thinking about it. It just means something having to do with action. So what can we explain what that is?
What's the definition? Is the bullet point again? Because I had an idea for it.
The bullet point is Yisrim Machshavah is actionable thoughts.
Okay, so he removes his thoughts from it, or
removes it from his actionable thoughts.
So, you said plans before. Also.
Plans is another good word for actionable thought. Yeah.
So it's just not that I put out this cigarette, or that but more that I resolve to not smoke cigarettes.
Oh, but you can't go that far because that's the next step.
Get rid
Yeah.
of the box of cigarettes, then I would say.
Okay, so when you say get rid of the box, do you mean like take measures to make sure you don't succumb? Like what does getting rid of the box accomplish to you?
It gets rid of the ability to actualize it.
Gets rid of the ability to actualize it. Or I wouldn't say it gets rid of it, right? Because you could always go and buy more, right? But it makes it more difficult.
Yeah, at the very least.
Okay, you could take that route. You could say that the 3 steps, just to summarize what Chaim is saying, are stop doing the sin, meaning if you're in the midst of it, stop doing it, right? Second one is, or let's say, here's an easier example to use as example with Isha. Let's say you're living with an Isha Ba'avera, so stop living with her, right? Second one is Chaim saying to take steps to remove the temptation.
Yeah.
And the third step is to make the resolution to not do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to say something else?
I just their philosophy also wanted to rebuild it as a taboo.
Rebuild it as a taboo. Interesting. And what's the difference between, so would that come before resolving not to do it again or after?
After, isn't like it's just at that point, like isn't now, even if you have the temptation, you now have a counter.
Right. So Rambam seems to be putting it in order, right? Remove it from your thoughts and then resolve in your heart not to do it again. Right? Yeah, Chizkiah?
Yeah, it seems like the last one, resolve not to do it again.
Yeah.
Since it needs to be like qualified by the prior.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remove yourself from the opportunity or the situation to be able to do it, then you have to resolve to not also ever.
So you're going with Chaim's definition of remove it from your plans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, even if there is a second part,
Yeah.
there's one is removing yourself from the present, and then
Right.
ensuring that in the future you're going to stay removed.
Okay. All right. I hear that. Those, I don't have any objections to those. My own understanding, though, is slightly different. And I don't want to say, this is so long ago that I no longer remember if I got this from Rav Pesach, but if I got it from someone, then I got it from him. Okay. I don't want to like put words in his mouth, but so I think the way he explained it is like everyone has certain actions that are in their repertoire. Like, repertoire is like a musician has certain pieces that they can play, right? So this is in my repertoire, this is not in my repertoire. And there's certain actions that are and are not. For example, there's some people who like are partiers and some people are not partiers. Some people are, shoplifting is something that is in their repertoire of actions and some people are not. I don't want to say it's tithas. It's in like, there's a certain range of actions that you view as available to you to do.
It's like a mindset. It's a mindset. Meaning,
It's a mindset. It's a mindset. Yeah.
Some
You
people
want to, or what else? What other?
Yeah, because you would want to, but I'm saying that,
yourself,
right. It's like there are things that like, or here's another way to approach it. It's like, I'm sure you can all think of things that like, oh, I used to do X, Y, Z when I was like, 14, but like, that's not the type of thing I do anymore. Right. So it doesn't mean you don't have a desire to do it maybe, but it's just, it's not categorically, it's not in the realm of like in the drop-down menu of like Chizkiyahu actions. Like, what do you want this character Chizkiyahu to do? It's not in the selection realm. It is a mindset thing, though, like Chaim was saying. Okay. So the way, just to, I'll try to plug it in now. So what I'm learning is there are 3 steps. One is stop doing the physical action. Second is mentally distance yourself from this action as an action that is the type of thing that like is in my realm. And then the third one has to be a commitment. And I think a commitment is a qualitatively different thing, like than just saying like, this is not the type of thing that I do, like saying I'm never going to do this again, is like, take an example in a relationship, right? So in a relationship, let's say you accidentally like blow up at the other person, and like it really hurts them. So you could truthfully say that was a fluke. That's not the type of thing that like I'm prone to doing, but that's a very different statement than saying, I promise you, I will never do that again. Right. It's a different break. So I do agree with the Yad Pshuta that these are in the same, they could all be categorized under the heading of resolving not to do it again, but he is explaining it in like 3 steps. Yeah.
So that sounds like it's maybe because the difference would be in that, that you feel right now, actually like remorseful of it.
Yeah.
But it seems like you're bringing in the recognition that obviously if it happened this last time, even if, and while that wasn't normal in my nature, there was something overrode that normal feeling and I felt like it was okay to
right.
do. So even if in the future I feel okay, like it's something is okay to do, even then when I'm not feeling like I am now, or remorseful, I'm still not going to do it.
You happen to be walking right into the next paragraph. Okay. And this is going to complicate things. Okay. So far we have either 3 steps or 1 step, depending on how you say it. I also like to add in another step, which I think I mentioned before, a step 0, which is recognize the sin, which I think, even though the Rambam doesn't need to say that, like obviously you can't even engage in this process if you don't recognize the sin. It is a thing that like people don't often recognize that they are sinning, either halachic sins, like you don't really know that the halach is usher, or like ethical failings or bad decision making, Mishlei sins. You're not realizing that you're doing it. So that's the first step. What? Yeah, Mishlei sins. Yeah. Okay. So then he gets to steps 4 and 5, or 2 and 3, depending on how you define it. Likewise, he has to regret having transgressed. Okay, now what's weird? So regret, obviously we were taught that like that's something we do. What's weird about Nechama is
remorse?
Remorse and regret are the same thing. Changing your mind or being comforted. But here it definitely means to regret. Yeah. So he has to regret having transgressed. Now what's weird about the placement of this step? So we haven't got to the last yet, but it comes after this stuff. When would you expect it to come? First, right? Usually you feel like, right? Yes, either before everything, like either it's the thing, you do something, you feel regret, and then that prompts you to engage in teshuvah, or it's simultaneous with the first one. But here it comes after resolving not to do it again. Now you might ask me and say, well, how do you know he's saying it comes after? Maybe v'chein just means like, so too, or like alongside this, you should do. He quotes a pasuk, Shnemar ki acharei shuvi nichamti. Because after I did teshuvah, I regretted. The acharei hivadi, and after I made known my sin, safakti al yarech, I slapped my thigh, which is not like in America, slapping your thigh is like when you laugh. This is slapping your thigh like in regret. Yeah, this is like, yeah.
So this like use of like after I made teshuvah, then I regret. This makes it sound very much like teshuvah really is a process. And like the culmination of teshuvah, the whole purpose of it is to be able to develop the sensitivity, I guess, to really like now I can regret what I did before. Like I'm capable of not.
I'll modify one thing. This is not quite the culmination because we haven't finished the steps yet, right? But it is definitely part of what Teshuvah was trying to accomplish. Meaning simply stopping doing the Avera is not Teshuvah. It's halfway in Teshuvah, right? And if you stop doing it, but you didn't have any remorse, which by the way, like a lot of these people like get thrown in jail, in prison or whatever, and like they're not going to do it again, but they don't have any remorse, and that's not Teshuvah.
Right. Remorse, but the remorse is for getting caught. Not for
right. Or sometimes they'll say though that they have no remorse. I have no regrets. Okay. But then we got 2 more steps, and this next one is the hardest one, both practically to do and also to understand what the Rambam is saying. The Ya'id alav yodea ta'alumos. And literally that means the Yodea Ta'alumos, the one who knows hidden things, okay, which is all capitalized, okay, meaning God. Ya'id alav will testify about you, shelo yashuv lezeh hachet leolam, that you will never return to that sin forever, okay?
What will testify about
God will testify about you. So the way people say, as God is my witness, I will never do it again. Now, what of the steps we've done, what does that sound like that we've already covered?
The third step.
The third step of resolving not to do it again. So what is the difference between resolving not to do it again and God testifying about you that you won't do it again?
Seems like one's
him testifying.
Say again? About you. Like you, so to speak, call God to the witness stand, and God who knows all hidden things will be like, yep, he's not going to do it again.
Right. That's like much more reality.
Yes, meaning that there's a commitment to make that you're not going to do it again, and that's a decision. I'm trying not to do it again, right? Which you could fail in, right? Or you could succeed. But this is raising the bar, which is saying, God must be able to testify about you that you're not going to do it again. That which mean what, practically speaking, what does that mean that you have to do?
That means that in reality, you can never do it again.
It means you have to. So how do you do that though?
Die.
That's clearly the solution. Yeah.
No, I don't think that.
No. Yeah.
Like, is that something you could?
So let's put it this way: you're never going to know whether you're going to do it again until you're dead, right? I think that's what you're getting at, right?
You have to make it to yourself as if you don't have the ability to do it again.
You have to. I'm going to say that in a slightly broader way. You have to take steps to actually change who you are, so that you're not a person who does this action again or who won't do this action again. And again, you can't know for sure, right, whether this is going to happen. This is a very high bar. Right. Which always, every year I struggle with this question because I always feel like I can't do this on anything, but the question is like, do you really have to get to that point? And then here's the other question. This is kind of a classic question. Let's say I change myself to not do this again. And let's say 20 years down the line, I do the sin again, right? Now, does that mean that my original teshuvah was no good? Or does that mean that, no, my original teshuvah was good, but I did a new instance of the sin and I have to do teshuvah on that?
Change yourself again back to the other way?
Yeah, right. And
another change.
Right, another change, right. And I think that there's no one answer to that. I think sometimes, again, I'm sure we've all been in this situation, you change yourself to say, I'm not going to do it again. And then like the next week you do it again. So there it's like, okay, you didn't really do the right changes. But then sometimes it's like you actually do change yourself. And when you do it again in the future, it's true you're doing the same like Avera again, but you are a different person and you're doing it for different reasons. And like, you got to go through another Teshuvah process on that. But the first Teshuvah was good, was solid, and that's how I understand it at least.
To clarify that,
yeah.
Like, that situation you're describing, would that imply, are you saying that the first time you really did Teshuvah, like
yeah.
all the way, but is that include and Hashem testifying? Because if Hashem testified that he would not do it again.
Yeah.
How do you then?
So that's a fair question, right? That if you take this at the absolute face value, then you're right. Then evidently you didn't do Teshuvah because you did the sin again.
Right.
I'm making a different argument, which is that what this step is really requiring you to do is to change yourself to take measures to not do it again. And I'm saying that there are cases where those measures fail and that's why you did it again. And then there are other measures, there are other things where like a completely new circumstance comes up that causes you to do the same, like on the checklist of sins, the same particular sin again, but it was really a different sin.
For a different reason?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Well, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
you adopted a notion of
Yeah. Yeah, he should testify
this
about it.
person, meaning this
Yeah.
person you are now about this sin as well. So it's like
That's true.
like
This
almost
person
like-
and this sin. Yeah,
so-
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good deal. Okay, let's just finish the halacha and then we'll stop for today. The pasuk he quotes is very weird. V'lo nomar od, quote, Eloheinu, end quote, l'ma'aseh yadenu. We will no longer say our God to the work of our hands. This is talking about Jews doing teshuvah from avodah zarah. So their sin was they were calling things that they made our God, and they're saying we're not going to say that again. And then he throws in, Hosea throws in, Asher b'cha yerucham yasam, because through you or in you, the orphan finds mercy. Don't know what that's about. And then the last step is v'tzarech hisvados bisvasav. He needs to confess verbally, v'lomar inyanos elu shegamar belibo, and state these matters that he resolved in his heart.
Is it pasuk?
The pasuk is in Hosea. Yeah, it's pasuk. Yeah.
No, not the.
The last part though. The last part is the Rambam. Yeah,
Is what?
is the Rambam. The Rambam. Yeah. So again, just to review, and then we'll tomorrow we'll have to try to go through the pesukim. So again, I count it as 6 steps with a 0. 0. The pre-step is recognize that you sin. Then abandon the sin means stop doing it physically. Remove it from your thoughts. Take it out of your repertoire, out of your plans. 3rd step, make a commitment to not do it again. And those 3 really are part of the committing not to do it again. Step 4, afterwards, regret what you did. And our question, which we didn't answer, why does the regret come afterwards? Certainly there can be regret before, but the step of teshuvah is to regret it after you resolve not to do it again. Then God testifies about you that you won't return to it. And then you do veto it. You articulate this following the formula in the first chapter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tomorrow, if we can answer the regret question, and then hopefully get to the pesukim. Yeah. What was it?